Watch this to learn how to set up your Hive hammock stand. A couple of tips to begin. We highly recommend setting up Hive for the first time in the safety and comfort of your home. This way, you can make sure you understand all the parts and pieces and email us with any questions before you're out in the wilderness. Give yourself plenty of time to get familiar with Hive so that future setup will be smooth and seamless. Once you've practiced a few times, you'll find the whole process quick and intuitive. We sometimes get some funny comments saying that with all the cordage, Hive looks way too complicated to set up. As you'll see, that is not the case at all. We've tied all the knots for you, and all you need to do is clip it into place. Now, on to the fun. We picked this beautiful spot by a creek. Luckily, our freestanding Hive allows us to set up wherever we like. Since Hive was so lightweight, it was easy to walk a little bit of a distance to find this secluded spot. Now, let's check out all the pieces in the Hive kit. Hive includes 4 legs. You'll know they are the legs because of the attached cordage and the aluminum end cap at the bottom of each leg. You may choose to put the included silicone feet on, covering the end caps. That part is self-explanatory and we did not include it in this video. Hive also includes 2 silver hubs with a white Yobo Gear logo on them. The placement of that logo will come into play later. You'll also receive 2 bend pieces with the cordage already attached. Next, you'll receive 4 ridge poles or top rails. We use these terms interchangeably throughout this video. The top rails have no silver end cap on the bottoms and no cordage attached. These thin silver poles are your tarp extension poles used for rainfly deployment. We'll begin setup with the 2 hubs. Face the logo outward from where your Hive will be set up. We'll lay them on the ground about 13 feet apart. This does not need to be exact, everything will fall into place later. Next, extend the 4 ridge poles and place in a sort of elongated hexagon shape around the hubs, with the silver ends pointing toward the hubs. Next, grab your bend pieces to complete the hexagonal shape. Make sure the cordage is dangling downward toward the ground. Then, working around the Hive, start to plug everything in. Remember, the Yobo Gear logo faces outward from the Hive. Make sure that the poles are plugged in as far as they can go. Everything is held in place by tension. It will be very sturdy once all the cordage is attached. We plug in the final bend piece last. Once your hexagon shape is complete, come back to the center and grab the top tension line. You'll notice it has 4 stops on it. Today, we will be setting up Hive at its full length, so we will use the final stop at the end of the line. If you decide you would like to set up your Hive in a shorter configuration, you would use the other 3 stops accordingly. We will explain this more in depth in another video. Now simply plug the cordage into the hole on the opposite side to create a beautiful peak in the ridge assembly. Here's what it looks like up close. When on the ground, the peak comes up almost to Cal's knee. This element is crucial to the strength and stability of the Hive stand. Next, time to extend all the legs. Put 1 at each corner. There's a small loop of cable toward the top of each leg that needs to be facing inward for easy attachment. When you plug the legs into the hub, make sure it is situated on the inside of the leg. This will be true of all 4 legs. If you've positioned that loop of cable in the correct place, the cordage on the legs should also be correct for the next step. Grab the cordage on the end of the stand to begin to form the X that will be situated under each hub. Simply use the hook to attach into these cable loops. See why they need to be facing inward? At this point in the process, it is very important not to wrench down or tighten the cordage too much, or you'll pop the hub off. Use a little finesse and gently get it attached. Keep the cordage loose with just enough tension to hold it in place. We'll come back later and tighten everything. So now we have one more side to go. I'm going to step out from behind the camera to show that you don't have to be a 6-foot tall man to put Hive together. I am 5'4" and Hive setup is still very manageable for me. An extra short person could potentially shorten each leg before inserting them into the hubs, and then lengthen them after they're plugged in if they felt the need. The stand is so light, it's easy to hold up with one hand. Another reminder to make sure those little cable loops are both facing inward here. Now that the legs are secure, it's time to do any necessary height adjustments. We are on some slightly uneven ground in this location, so we are going to drop the right side of the Hive. The adjustment happens on the middle segment of each leg. Make sure the ridge assembly of Hive is level on both planes for stability and comfort. After shortening the legs, pull on that X cordage to make it taut again. Time to attach the diagonals. Use the hooks to attach into the loops coming from the bend pieces. Then pull on the cordage to tighten it up. You can see here how tightening each diagonal sucks the corresponding leg into the most stable position. Here's a trick to determine if you've pulled it tight enough. Right now, you can see there is a gap between the two X cords, so we will go back and tighten each diagonal evenly until those two X cords are touching. Check the other side for the same thing, and it's time to move on. Now let's do a visual check. Make sure everything looks symmetrical and no legs are out of alignment. It's difficult to see on video, but take our word for it that everything here is lined up. Time to hang your hammock, or hammocks plural. Use the suspension of your choice to wrap around the hubs. This hole in the middle is where the tarp extensions will plug in, so if you're using a tarp, make sure not to cover that up. As always, sit very slowly in your hammock and gradually move around to test your work. There is enough room in the Hive stand that you can play around with lowering the head end, raising the foot end, and experimenting with different hammock angles for your comfort. This is very important. When hanging your hammock, make sure it is in a straight line across the Hive. For your safety, never hang your hammock diagonally. The structure of the Hive depends on pressure being applied in the right places. This is one of those quirky trade-offs for such a lightweight hammock stand. Even a little bit of diagonal is not recommended. Keep everything in a straight line and you'll be fine. Now let's add another hammock. The green one in this video is an 11-foot hammock and the brown one is 12 feet. We haven't met a hammock yet that won't fit on Hive. Here's an end view. Notice how both hammocks are in nice straight lines. If you want to lay a little closer to your sweetheart, scoot those suspension straps in, ensuring your hammock is still in a straight line between hubs. And that's it. Your Hive is set up. We will do a separate video on how to set up your rainfly. Whether you're using Hive, any other hammock stand, or just trees for your hammock setup, please test your work before putting your full weight in the hammock. It is too easy to forget this step and end up on the ground. Also, remember that a hammock stand is not the same thing as a swing set. Hammocks are for gentle swaying, so for everybody's safety, please use the stand only for what it is designed. Now on to your adventures. We wish you lots of happiness in the world's first 2-person portable hammock stand. Happy hammocking!